most difficult things to understand is theodicy. How can the Creator have his will and we have our wills at the same time? How can we have free wills yet live lives foreknown or foreordained by our Creator? The maker of the universe must know the potentials of what he has made, and therefore must know in detail what will happen to every bird, proton, and human being. This presents a problem if he wants any of his creatures to have the freedom to reject his will. How can he make a creature like man who could choose nothingness rather than him? How can he reconcile with his own love the creation of a person who will choose the nothingness of non-existence? In other words, how can the Creator make a free will agent who can choose to love him or decide to hate him, if loving is wanting the best for another? And how can he allow such a being to continue to exist in his universe? For more than 50 years now, quantum physicists have been studying the behavior of the tiniest particles that make up our universe, quanta. They have produced and rejected countless theories of how these subatomic particles like neutrons and quarks operate. And one of the most incomprehensible actions they have observed is the seeming influence of one electron's spin on the action of another electron, 10 billion light years away. Yet they know about each other in a split second. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance and rejected its possibility in this universe. Since then, physicists like Bell have shown it to be true. And for years, scientists have tried to reconcile this fact with relativity. Gradually, physicists have come to respect the theory of an American physicist called Everett, who has posited the theory that there are parallel universes, many of them, as many as the choices you make moment by moment in your daily life. So, faith does not seem so incompatible with reason when it states that God has made an old Adam and a new Adam. The old rejects him and embraces autonomous nothingness, and the new Adam embraces him as our loving Father upon whom we depend. As we acquiesce in one or the other, so goes our life, here and beyond. So our omniscient Maker knows everything that will happen and governs it all by his honest love for each one of us. Gradually, the world of science and the world of faith seem increasingly to be merging. Just as physicists are driven to the idea of parallel worlds to explain the simultaneous influence of electrons on one another, separated by millions of light years, so theologians are driven to the idea of two worlds to explain the simultaneous action of the Creator's will and man's will. As David wrote in Psalm 139, "Even before a word is on my tongue, lo, O Lord, thou knowest it altogether. In thy book were written the days that were formed for me, when as yet there was none of them." Only the Maker's commitment to preserve our free wills prevents his omnipotence from forcing upon us the building we have from God, not made with hands, eternal in the heavens, the new self hid with Christ in God. But we are here in the space-time of earth to choose whether we live in that or in a personality cobbled together by our own independence. So here, in the sequential temporal world, we see life without God, in all the horror of its increasing violence, brutal indifference, and destructive greed on one side, and on the other, shafts of sunlight from the simultaneous eternal world that makes life bearable with unselfishness, kindly acts, and encouraging words. So every day we are faced with the freedom to choose whether our own knowledge of good and evil will govern our lives, or whether the Christ life from our Maker will course through us. Finally, there is only one reality and one Creator. But He is a loving Father who sees all of time in 1 millisecond, yet endures patiently the distortion of His world until we eventually acquiesce in what He has planned for each of us.